Are ground beef recipes a staple at your house? Well, they sure are at mine. Hey friends, my name's Susan and welcome to my home. Today I've got you 4 ground beef recipes your family's gonna love, and you're gonna love how easy they are to make. So let's get these ponytails up and let's get to making some amazing ground beef recipes. Come on, you know what time it is. Let's get to cooking. Tonight I'm going to make a hamburger casserole. Simple and easy. We'll see what I think about it because I'm wondering if this is going to be enough flavor. May add a few things to it. Salt and pepper. I've got some Fiesta blend and some mozzarella cheese. It says to add mozzarella and cheddar. We don't got any cheddar, so Fiesta blend's the closest thing. 2 cans of tomato soup. I'm going to put in a can of mixed vegetables because I want vegetables in it. Garlic powder. I've got some pasta of your choice. A little bit of water, and I'm probably going to add in some onion. Y'all know me. And of course, hamburger meat, browning in the pot. This is supposed to be done in the oven in a casserole, but guess what? We're not going to do it. I don't want to start my oven up. So let's make it on the oven top, and let me show you how I do that. The recipe doesn't call for onions, but I'm going to add some in. I've got them going everywhere. Goodness gracious. I've got about probably a 1/4 of an onion that I'm going to go ahead and add in. I'm just going to sit here and tear them apart because I didn't feel like getting the scissors out this time. And it'll work because it'll just cook down to nothing. And let this cook in with the hamburger meat because we aren't going to be throwing out the juice. Whenever the hamburger cooks up, whatever grease is in here apparently stays in here because it doesn't say to drain it, which is fine. That'll just make it even taste better. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done and browned up, and then I'll bring you back with the next steps. And I think this recipe is going to go pretty fast now. I've browned the hamburger meat. I'm going to go ahead and add in the 2 cans, 10-ounce cans of tomato soup into the container. I'm going to go ahead and add in the mixed vegetables into the container. And I'm going to go ahead and add in the shells to the container. That's not 8 ounces, that's a little less. For 8 ounces of pasta, you want to add 2 cups of water. I've got about 1.5 cups of water. It didn't call for but half a cup. But of course, we're doing this on top, and you're supposed to boil the pasta ahead of time. And I'm not. I'm doing 1 pan. Y'all know me. I don't want to dirty up any more pans if I don't have to. And I'm going to go ahead and stir all this around and see if it looks like the water is going to cover everything good, which will be the telltale sign. And it looks like it might. I might need a little bit more water. I'm going to go ahead and add in a little bit of garlic powder. It didn't say a measurement, so I'm just adding it in. Some salt. And some pepper. I know the tomato soup's going to have a little salt in it, so hopefully that'll give it lots of good flavor. I think I am going to put a little bit more water in, just a dab, so I can make sure that the shells are all nice and covered. So I'd probably make it about 2 cups now. I'm going to go ahead and let this boil real quick and cover it. And then let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes or until the shells are done. Because once the shells are done, you're almost done also. And this has been cooking for just a little while, and it looks like that the noodles are good and done. I'm going to go ahead and add on the cheese onto the top. It calls for 2 cups of shredded cheddar and 1 cup mozzarella. Well, I'm going to do probably a good cup of mozzarella. I'm just going to cover the top. It's just going to melt. We're not going to put it in the oven. We're not going to brown it. It's just going to be put on top. That way it can melt. And then whenever you get a serving of this, it'll be nice and cheesy on the very top. Put plenty of mozz on it. Look at that. That's looking good. Of course, that was a little frozen, but that's okay. Now, the next thing is, of course, the Mexican cheese, because I didn't have any cheddar. Going to cover this all up. Oh, it smells good. That cheese smells real good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the lid back on it for about 5 more minutes and let it melt the cheese. And then we'll be ready to eat. Yes. And I've let this cook for about let it stay warm for about 5 minutes. And look at all that wonderful cheese. I don't know if we're going to be able to get this in a plate or if it needs to be more on the bowl. It looks like it's pretty solidified in there. It isn't as wet or moist as it was. So that's a good thing. So let's go ahead and put it on a plate and see what we wind up with. This is so deceptively simple, but it was so good. Danny ate 2 helpings. It was really good. Okay, we're going to try to make a taco bake casserole. I make taco bake all the time. I'm not going to make it in the oven though. So I'm going to do this with a few added ingredients like this one has, but do it in my pot, which I've already got the hamburger meat browning up. I've got 1 pound of hamburger. I've got some sour cream, some taco seasoning. I've got some black beans, some whole kernel corn, some Rotel Mexican style lime, onion, Fiesta blend cheese. I've got some corn chips because it called for it. We'll see where that winds up in this bunch. And a little bit of water to put in it. So let's go ahead and get the hamburger browned up and drained. So I've got the meat all good and browned. I'm going to go ahead and add the onions in now. Just because it says to add green onions. You know me, I'm adding Vidalia onions because that's what I always do. Just adding about half of an onion. Because you know, it's Mexican. And we like onion. So you don't have to add it in if you don't like it though. I'll go ahead and let this brown down just a little bit until it gets a little opaque. Oh, and there goes my sous chef leaving the room. Now that these have started to go opaque, I'm going to go ahead and add in the taco seasoning. About equivalent to 1 pack of taco seasoning. And a little bit of water. So this will melt into the meat. You don't have to have a whole lot because we're going to be adding a few things in. Go ahead and stir this around just a bit. And I'm going to get the rest of everything in the pan. That way I can let it go be cooking. I'm going to go ahead and add in the Rotel. Which y'all know, I love Rotel. It goes good with everything. I'm going to add in a whole thing of kernel corn. Danny's going to love this. He's trying to give him to his vegetables. Y'all know that. And one thing he doesn't like, which is black beans. But you know what? They're going in. Because I like black beans. Alright, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and stir this around until I get everything incorporated. There we go. Now I'm not going to add anything else to it. I'm going to put the lid on it and I'm going to turn it down on about a medium low and let it simmer for about 10 minutes. And you'll see what this looks like. And I have let this go ahead and cook down a little bit. I had to feed the dog, so, you know, it's set for just a few minutes without being on the heat. And it did produce quite a bit of juice, which is awesome. Now, I've got to try to figure out how I want to do this. Because you're supposed to layer it up in a dish and put it in the oven. I ain't turning my oven on. Made cornbread the other night. Yeah, never again. Not this hot. I think I am going to put in some taco sauce, or taco seasoning. Taco sauce, excuse me. Because y'all know how I do it. I didn't have it in a lineup, but I'm going to do some red and green. Which is Cholula. Whoop, and there's the sous chef. And some green Tabasco. There's my other sous chef. There she goes. She just ate her supper. Alright. We've got that all in there. I'm going to get this all stirred around real quick. Now, I've got to figure out how I'm going to work this. I'm going to put, it says to layer it up. I'm not going to layer it up. I think I'm going to put some cheese on the top and then we'll put it on the dish on some tortilla shells. So I have all of this wonderful Fiesta blend cheese that I'm going to put on the top and let melt down. Because y'all know, cheese is good stuff. I'm going to let that go ahead and melt. Put the lid on. Keep it on a little bit medium warm. And let the cheese melt. And then we'll serve it up. And I've let this cheese melt. In fact, I let it melt a little too long when I was watching some TV. But let's go ahead and get this in a bowl and put more cheese on it. And call it supper. It says to layer it like a lasagna. I'm going to kind of do that and then put a bunch on the top because that kind of sounds good. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in, add some of the meat on top, then put some of these wonderful big shells right here around it so it'll look nice and pretty. And I'm going to add some cheese to it. Depending on what it tastes like, I may add some more taco sauce to it. We'll see. But there we go. Another simple ground beef recipe. Danny ate his in a taco. I ate mine on chips. So good. Okay, let's make some cheesy beef sandwiches. I've got a bell pepper I need to cut up, some salt, some pepper, minced garlic, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, steak seasoning or steak blend as I've got right here, some onion, I've got some sharp cheddar, a can of cream and mushroom soup, and I got some Philly cheese steak or Philly steak rolls is what I've got. And of course, the hamburger meat, which I have yet to start up. Today's been a productive day, been making lots of bread and got a lot of stuff out of the garden. So I need something quick and simple to make so we can have some lunch on the table and not have to use up a lot of time doing it or a lot of pans because I've got stuff going on, baking bread, all that kind of stuff. So let's get to going on some cheesy beef sandwich recipe sandwiches. So come on, let's get to cooking. This recipe does not say to drain the fat. And that is the only time that I like to add in my onion. That way you get a lot of the onion flavor in with the meat. And you don't drain any of it out whenever you empty the fat out. Usually if it says drain fat, I will put the onion in after I cook the hamburger meat and just let it warm up and go opaque. But when you don't, I love doing it this way because then you're going to get a lot of those good onion flavors in with the juices along with the hamburger meat. So let me go ahead and let this get browned up just a little bit and I'll show you what happens next. And I have let the onion and the meat get nice and cooked up. I'm going to go ahead and add in one bell pepper, which this was quite a large one, but that's okay. That'll make for some good flavors. I'll go ahead and add these in and get this all mixed up. And I'm going to also add in a teaspoon of minced garlic, which mine is going to be a heaping teaspoon because y'all know I love it. And go ahead and get this all incorporated into the meat, the onions, and the bell pepper. I probably should have put the bell pepper in at the same time as the onions, but the recipe didn't say that. The bell pepper will take just a few minutes to cook. I've already got the garlic in. And then I'm going to go ahead and cover this and let this cook for about 3 minutes. So let that simmer on down. We're going to go ahead and get the rest of the ingredients into play real quick. I'm going to go ahead and add in the cream of mushroom soup. Let's see if I can get this in real quick. Ah, nicely blobs right in there. Go ahead and use the spatula to get some of it out. I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of steak seasoning into the mix. 1, 2, and 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. 1, 2. Let me go ahead and mix all this together. It is on a low right now till I get all the ingredients incorporated. And it smells amazing, guys. Oh, this smells so good. This is definitely different than Philly cheesesteak by no means. It is definitely different. And it smells so good. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and let this cook covered for about 5 minutes. And then I'll bring you back for the last little bit. Okay, let's look and see where we're at right now. Look at all of that. It looks really good. I have this on a low medium kind of thing. But that is looking amazing. Now we're going to add, next I'm going to add in some sharp cheddar. It calls for 1.5 cups of sharp cheddar cheese. I'm just going to fill up this 1 cup, overloaded, and that looks really good. So let's go ahead and get that in. I'm going to cover this and turn it off, and then we should be ready to eat. So let's get this covered. And here is what it looks like after I've let it keep warm for a little bit and the cheese melt. It is so ooey gooey and goodness. let's get this on a bun. I did add some salt and pepper whenever I wasn't filming, and I did add a little mayonnaise to the top. And then this is what the sandwich looks like. The flavor on this one was so good. I thought it was kind of unusual, but it was so good. Danny really enjoyed it, and you know that says a lot for this recipe. Well, let's get an easy meal on the table tonight. I have got some recipe for some Chinese pasta with beef and peppers. We're going to try it out and see. It does call for some rice wine. I do not have any, so we are going to leave that part out. I do have some cooking wine, but I don't have any rice wine, so hopefully it'll be just as good. I've got 2 bell peppers, a pound of hamburger, some minced garlic, some liquid aminos, oyster sauce, some spaghetti noodles, and a little bit of olive oil. So let's go ahead and get some cooking going on. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of olive oil to the pan. It calls for 5 tablespoons, but I think that'll be pretty good. Now I've let the olive oil heat up just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put in 3 garlic cloves, or the equivalent of 3 garlic cloves, which is about 3 teaspoons. And go ahead and let that warm up real quick. Now I've let the garlic cook up in the oil a little bit. It does say to remove the garlic, so I'm going to drain as much of it as I can and get it out of the pan. It's very fragrant. I didn't let it burn, which was the bad thing whenever you're trying to do this, is if the garlic burns. Yeah, I think I've got just about all I'm going to get out of it. I'm going to go ahead and add in the 1 pound of hamburger meat into the pan, and we're going to let that cook up in this beautiful garlic-infused oil. It's going to give it lots of flavor, and it smells amazing right now. So let's go ahead and get that in. All right. Now, let's put the top on this and let this brown up. Now I've let this cook until it is nicely done. We've got a lot of grease in here. It doesn't say anything about removing the grease. So we're going to go ahead and add in the chopped 2 bell peppers into the mix. And these were nicely large peppers. I'm going to go ahead and add back in the garlic that I fried earlier. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get this all mixed together. And it does smell really good. I should have went ahead and added this and didn't realize it, but I'm going to go ahead and add in the 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. Now I do not have the rice vinegar, which I'm sure would probably make it taste even better. But I've got everything else. So we've got all this infused, and it does smell amazing. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down to about a medium. I'm going to cover it and let it cook for about 10 minutes with the bell peppers. That way the bell peppers can get nice and soft. And I'm going to go ahead and start the noodles up, and then I'll bring you back when we put everything together. And it's been 10 minutes. And look at all this wonderful meat mixture. I did read the recipe a little bit. It said if you do not have rice wine, you can use regular white wine. Well, I've got some white cooking wine I guess I'll use instead, because I know I've got that. Ooh, and it smells amazing. It says to cook your noodles about 80% done, which is what I've done. And then I'm going to transfer them over to this big pan. I guess you could use a wok if you wanted to, but I like this has a flat surface on the bottom. It seems to heat up a lot quicker. The wok, which I don't have a gas stove, takes a little longer to heat up and cook sometimes. It says to add a little bit of the cooking water if you need to. I am dragging water with me as I'm putting this in, so I'm not going to do that yet. Okay, got all that put together. I'm going to go ahead and stir all this together. I may have made too many noodles, but you know what? That's okay. It's very fragrant, so I hope it's as flavorful as it is fragrant, because it smells and looks really good right now. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on it and add in, it says 2 tablespoons of rice wine. I'm just going to add in a little bit. There we go. Now I may add some more soy sauce, because once I taste it, I may add some more soy sauce to see how that tastes. And I'm getting stuff everywhere, guys. Not being good today. All right. Let me go ahead and put the lid on. Turn it on low. And just let it set for just a few minutes. And let it completely finish cooking. So I'll bring you back when I plate it up. And here we go. I am going to add a little bit of soy sauce. Liquid aminos. Just because I think it needs a little bit of something. And this, of course, will perk it right up. And there you go. This actually turned out better than I thought it was. It was actually really good. I wish I would have had the rice wine to put in it to see if that flavor would have been a little different, but it was good. Ground beef recipes, oh, you gotta love them. And you know you're gonna love these. And if you haven't already, press that little button down below and subscribe. Make sure you press the little bell and the all notification. That way you'll know each time I put a video up. Don't forget to leave me a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. And until next time, see you then.